I remember this guy, he wanted to hook up. After that night, he ghosted me. Like, he was not my friend anymore.
Well, he was never your friend.
I do think that if you're a man who is in like sexual deficit, it's very hard for those men to be friends with women.
You guys fight for rights that you don't even use a lot of the times.
If men really wanted to take women's rights away, it would actually be quite easy to do that.
Oh, we want to be able to do everything that men can do, but why is it that all the hard manual labor jobs are dominated by men?
Women don't want those jobs. What do they actually want when they talk about equality?
They want authority without responsibility. These men are intimidated by working women. No, they're not. We just don't like masculine women.
Do you think that women are jealous of men? Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new show, Jedediah Bila Show. First of all, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. You know you want to. You know you have to. Don't make me get feisty. All right, today we have a very, very, very special guest in the house. Michael Sartain is here. He is the host of Access Vegas with our friend, Rollo Tomassi. They do an amazing job. They do a really interesting show. We're going to talk about that show in a little while. Mike, welcome to the show. So glad to have you.
I am so excited right now. I've never been up this early to go on Jedediah Bila. I am only for you. You're the only person in the world I would literally do this for. But when I saw you had your show back, I wanted to be on there immediately.
Well, I appreciate that. I do appreciate it. We don't do a lot of guests, but you're really interesting to me, and the show that you do is really interesting to me. We had Rollo on. Rollo's a good friend now, and I do have some. I have some old favorites. I'll just tease that for the audience right now because, yes, Sterling's going to be back and Justin Waller's going to be back and all your favorites are going to be back, plus one who I'm waiting to come to Texas, a big guest that we're going to do live in studio. You maybe take a few guesses on who that is. But, yeah, it's going to be good. So I want to talk to you before we get into some stuff about the red flags you see in the girls that show up for your show. And I'm going to talk about the girls that you choose to. Because, you know, Mike, there's some traits that I see that I'm like, visually. But let's do some reaction content first. I want to do 3 clips. This is a reaction show. And I thought these particular clips could really use a guy weighing in. So let's go to clip number 1. We're going to play it. We'll play it in its entirety. It's an Instagram clip. And then I want to hear what you think about it.
There's a little fraction of me I don't trust any of them.
For sure. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna trust. I'm definitely not having my wife go to jiu-jitsu lessons with some like fit, attractive Brazilian dude.
Hell no. Or a male masseuse even.
No. Even a trainer at the gym.
People say I'm insecure and I'm immature, and I'm like, dude, I don't care. I'm just telling you the truth. The truth is, no. You don't want a haircut, stay out the barber shop.
Okay. All right. Funny, right? But okay, so right off the bat, is he right? And I don't know about. Can you just share what are you willing to share? Are you in a relationship, married? What's your status?
No, I know. I'm out of a relationship. Brad and I are good friends, and Garrett, who was on that show, he was on my show like right after that night. He came on Access Vegas, and they have a different relationship. Like I've talked to Brad about his marriage. We've had this discussion before, but what he's talking about, like. It's one of these things where if I have every intention in the world of being faithful to my partner, I can have that intention. But if I wake up every morning and I work at the Playboy Mansion or I work at a strip club or I'm just surrounded by beautiful women all the time, it just makes it harder for that to work. And by the way, the opposite is true. I know 12 women who have moved to Las Vegas, gotten jobs as cocktail servers, and left their husbands back in whatever other city they lived in, and all 12 of them got divorced because it's just it's a function of humans are susceptible to stimulus. And so what he's saying is true. Also, there has been an epidemic of women cheating on their husbands with jiu-jitsu instructors. So what Brad is talking about, like legitimately, look it up if you want. Yeah, so what happens is you come in, you're a man and a woman, you're a couple. You go into the jiu-jitsu school and your wife watches you be completely infantilized and emasculated by some, big buff Brazilian guy who ties you in knots and then makes you tap out several times. And then she subsequently gets in there with him while, goes to class. Oh, honey, I'm going to class without you this week. And she's now on the ground grunting with this good looking in shape Brazilian man who just put her husband in in a rear naked choke. I just don't think people understand what that does evolutionarily. And if you don't believe me, look it up. Look, there is literally, I mean, obviously it happened to Tom Brady. That's exactly what happened. His wife left him or cheated on him with a Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructor, but there's actually been several other professional athletes where this has happened as well. And it goes to show, again, if your husband works at a strip club or if your wife is surrounded by good-looking guys all the time, is the proclivity to cheat higher? The answer is yes, and it's obvious that the answer is yes. So no, I don't think Brad or Garrett are insecure for saying what they're saying.
That's so crazy to me, thinking about that jujitsu. I had never thought of it like that. I had just thought of it as like, oh, well, you know, you go to jujitsu as a woman and there's a big, strong man and like, ooh, and it's touchy-feely and it gets a little for you. But I had never thought about the angle of if you see your husband go in and he's like, you know, in a headlock or whatever it is, and he's just unable to do his duty as a man, and you all of a sudden start thinking, oh man, if we have a robber in our house, I need to get that guy over there to protect me.
But Jedediah, you don't think
that guy in your mind.
You aren't even thinking It's totally subconscious.
Right.
You're just watching your man be emasculated in front of you.
Be beaten up, essentially.
Yes.
Get the shit beat out of
so
him by some big, strong guy.
Yeah. If my wife and I were going to go to
and then you're
jiu-jitsu.
like, oh, you're like, let me go in and see what that's all about. And then,
Exactly.
Suddenly you're the one in a headlock in a little bit of a different way, let's say. But, that's very interesting. I did not know there was an epidemic of jiu-jitsu cheating. That is fascinating. But what do you make, Mike, of just this idea on a larger scale of the insecure guy? Because a lot of women will say, you know, the guys that don't like the girls' night out, the guys that don't want their women to go and do, you know, the girls' only weekend in Barbados, you know, where they're all half naked and do, you know, the guys that they label them as an insecure guy who just, you know, is afraid of getting cheated on. He's not secure in his manhood. He's not secure in his relationship. And your response is what?
So I love this question because I get this all the time. And I want you guys to understand my answer is not because I was cheated on. My answer is because I'm the guy on stage with Diplo. I'm the guy standing behind Marshmallow. I'm the guy sitting up on stage with the Chainsmokers every week here in Las Vegas. And I know they're cheating. I see it with my own eyes. Like, it's not one of these things where like, I'm part of the problem. I'm standing next to the dudes who are the problem. I see women come to Las Vegas, go to Coachella, they go to Ultra, they go to Ibiza, they go to Dubai, they go to these different places without their man, and then next thing you know, they end up cheating. And by the way, I truly believe they got off the aircraft truly believing that they were going to be faithful to their man. But you put enough pressure on any human being and it starts to affect them. Here's a different kind of example. If you have a group of couples, married couples, and one of those couples gets divorced, the probability of the other couples getting divorced skyrockets. If you have a house, if you have a neighborhood full of homes, once one of the homes sells, somebody sells, the other homes in that same area start to sell as well. There's statistics that show this. Humans are a product of the stimulus in their environment to some extent. And so if you have a woman and she's around attractive men on a regular basis or vice versa, you're going to have people cheat. And again, I'm not saying this because I'm hurt. I'm not hurt or insecure. I'm part of the problem. I'm going to be in a couple of weeks on the Marquee Sky Deck for EDC, and there will be literally 7 girls for every guy dressed in pasties up there, and half of them have boyfriends that couldn't get up onto the deck because it was $5,000 for a wristband. I know for a fact this is happening, and so that's why I'm saying, like, I don't think you're insecure. I just don't know if your girl needs to go to Coachella without you. Here's the thing, Jedediah. Here's the thing. We're never going to know body count. I remember you said that. You were talking about that with Rollo when you interviewed Rollo. You're never going to know someone's body count. You're never not going to know mine. I'm not going to know yours. No matter what you say, I'm never really going to know. But what I can know is whether or not you require stimulus outside of our relationship for validation. That is plain to see. And if you consistently require stimulus outside of our relationship, then the likelihood is you are probably going to cheat. And again, I'm not saying this because I'm the one being cheated on. I'm saying this because I'm the one at like the Marquee Sky Deck. I'm the one on stage at Access. I'm there watching these women do this with walking off with celebrities, knowing full well they have boyfriends. I've watched it. And so that's why I know this to be the case. And so it's unfortunate, and I see this all the time, but you can't have me living in Las Vegas and try to run this nonsense to me that you need to go to Stagecoach without me, honey. I'm going to go by myself with my female friends. Why do you need that stimulus to go without your boyfriend? And the reason why is because you like the idea of men flirting with you, huh?
I'm trying to remember who it was that talked about the festival girl. It might have been Andrew Tate. I'm not sure. Somebody talks about the festival girls. I was never into festivals, but there's something about these women. There's like a common thread running through a lot of these festival girls that like to go. I'm just always wondering, what's wrong with these guys? Right? Like you can blame, you can say, well, honey, why do you want to go to a festival half naked and leave your boyfriend that you supposedly love at home? Like, why isn't he invited with you? And secondly, who are you trying to impress when he's not there? Obviously, it's not for yourself, or you would just stay at home, get dressed up, and look at yourself in the mirror. So we can assess that. But also, what is wrong with these men that just say, oh, honey, have a great time. I'll see you when you get back. Because they're all over the place sending these women on these ventures. Are these men just completely, have they lost all sense of self?
I hate to be this reductive, but they're just usually liberals. They're usually men who I've been sold a bill of nonsense by Hollywood.
Yeah.
Do you remember that picture? There's a video where Jason Momoa is hugging this girl and her boyfriend, he's pushing her away. Guys, look it up. You can probably find it. And he's doing a show or whatever, and he's pushing the boyfriend away while hugging the girl. And he thinks that's funny because in his world, it's okay. In the Hollywood world, it's okay if your buddy grabs your girl's butt. It's fine. Why are you so insecure, bro? Let your girl flirt with whoever she wants to, bro. Because he's not doing it because he's trying to be an alpha. He's doing it. Jason Momoa in that case is doing it because he doesn't know any better. That's how he would be. Like, these guys think it's totally appropriate to violate the boundaries of someone else's physical relationship. They don't seem to have a problem with it. So if you keep telling these men, why are you so insecure? What they're going to do is go out of their way. It's just like you call someone racist. They go out of their way to show you they're not racist. You keep calling a man insecure. He goes out of his way to show that he's not insecure. So he gives his girl the black card. Go out, girl. Go. Of course, I don't know. Why wouldn't you be going on stage at Omnia without me? I don't know why. Of course, just go. Live, whatever nightclub, Mr. Jones, whatever you want to go to. Why? Of course, you're going out with the girls without me. Well, that makes a total sense. And again, my whole thing is, I don't want to even go in. So if I have a beautiful girlfriend, I don't want to go into social situations without her. Now granted, I will tell you there's a double standard here, Jedediah. When I go out with a beautiful woman, men admire me more and women admire me more. When a beautiful woman goes out with me, men get jealous and she loses followers, and women get jealous and are hateful. So it is different. There is definitely a double standard when it comes to that. So that's part of the reason why you'll notice. Have you seen the Soccer Wives, where the husbands will post a picture of the family and the wife will post a picture alone on in a bikini by herself?
Oh yeah,
there's a double standard here, and I totally understand that. But I'm not. The idea that you just need to go off and get all this stimulus without me, it's obvious what's going on, even if you aren't cognitively aware of it subconsciously. You need to understand that's why you're behaving this way. All Homo sapiens are involved. They just want sexual selection and higher sexual access. That just basically is the primary drivers for most of our proclivities.
Mike, I think this used to be easier. You said liberal, right?
Yeah, it is liberal men. It is a woke blue pill ideology that you should just not be insecure.
I hear that, but I think it used to be simpler when you didn't have like this very prominent rise of the conservative feminist now, which I really am paying a lot of attention to. I cannot believe I've done reactions to Megyn Kelly, to Tomi Lahren, we just did one to Emily Wilson. It's wild to me. And it was my own reality that I had to become aware of. I don't know how much you know about my interactions with Rollo, but the way that I met Rollo originally, I was working with a different channel and we did an interview and I suddenly heard myself for the first time in my life. I wasn't living what I was saying. I was, married and my husband was head of household and all that. But I felt this knee-jerk reaction, this reflex to defend these things that I was like, I don't even sound like me. What am I saying? Where I had to go home and sit, self-reflect and be like, holy shit, the chip is in me too. Boom, get it out. But I think it's getting harder for guys because now you have guys that are conservative men that by all standards feel like, okay, I know my role. I'm the masculine guy. I'm the guy, right? I'm the provider. I'm the protector. I'm going to go find myself a conservative woman. She's talking about conservative values. She's got the Trump hat on. I'm good, right? I'm good to go. And then they get into the situation and suddenly that woman starts talking and, ripping on stay-at-home moms or saying, oh, you're just going to stay at home and make sourdough bread and talking about, well, you're going to be trapped by a man. And all of a sudden this guy is like, did I marry, like, who is this, Chelsea Handler in disguise?
Yeah.
What the hell's going on? So it's getting harder to even delineate this as a conservative versus liberal problem, because it's like this rise of the conservative feminists. I think women need to realize that this little chip, this brainwashing chip, oh man, maybe it's in all of us, and it's just a matter of which women just gut it out, or maybe some women got spared who like grew up in the country and weren't exposed to this like crazy city, toxic life. I don't know, but the guys are having a harder time in my view.
Yeah. So how about this? You know, this is my thing. I've said this before on the show several times. You have the right, if as a woman, as a feminist, to have a 900 body count if you want. I just have the right to not date you.
Nasty.
And so
Nasty.
that's the thing. Exactly. But I have the right to not date you. And the problem is this. It's when the woman goes on TikTok and she makes a video. It's like, I made my husband a sandwich before he went to work. And there's all these women in the comments like, you set women's liberation back. You're a slave. Why are you doing this? Again, you have the right to make whatever decisions that you want. I just have the right to not date you. That's all it is. And what I'm saying is these women who are conservatives, because it's fun to be conservative, right? Less government. Let's all have our guns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love being conservative. I'm from Texas. I'm very conservative. I'm a Protestant man from Texas. I joined the military. I love it. But I will also say, while that part is fun, there's other parts of conservatism that women aren't going to like as much. And so my whole point is, if you want to be a woman and you want to be a provider in the family, that's fine. Just stop criticizing women who want to stay at home. There's a survey done by Forbes. Everybody, please look it up. Whenever I get into debates with feminists, I show this survey and it completely shuts them up. 83% of women who are in the workforce said that they wished that they had enough money from their husband so that they could stay at home and take care of the kids. 83%. These are not women who are staying at home. These are women who are working. The feminist dream. And 83%, that is 1.5 standard deviations for you nerds. 83% of women are saying they'd rather stay home. How in the world does that fit with your feminist narrative that the only reason why women are staying at home with these kids is because of the subjugation of the male, because of patriarchy, when 83% of women are saying that they would prefer to do this? No, what's happened is, smoking and drinking are not good for you. You can still do it, but we can tell you, hey man, that's not good for you. When you talk about women in their 40s that are childless and unmarried or whatever, they're being advised to be this way. Don't get married. Don't have kids. You're going to be so happy. No, you're not going to be happy. You're going to be prescribed medication and then check mark that you're happy. You're not happy. That's not what's happening. And what we're saying is it's not good for you. If you want to go to your 50, not have any kids, that's on you. I don't have a problem with it. I'm not here to judge you. Do whatever you want. But my point is, you can't then criticize my girlfriend because she wants to take care of me. You can't criticize.
Let me ask you a
her.
question. You had said, if a woman wants to be a provider in a home, go ahead and do it. And I assume what you're talking about is, we live in a free society.
Yes.
And you can make that decision for yourself if you want to. And by the way, we'll get to Texas. I'm in Texas right now.
Yes.
I want to hear about where you're from. But
Okay.
my question to you is, do you know any families, honest question, do you know any families where the woman is the provider in the home, where it works, where there's a happy union and there is a successful marriage and all is just lovely?
There's Scott Galloway and Richard Reeves, who I both, I have a lot of respect for these guys, but they're both talked about in different situations in their life when they were academics and their wives made more money than them and they had stayed at home and took care of the kids. I think in those situations, it's rare because Scott Galloway is a professor at a university and Richard Reeves is a senior fellow at the Brookings Institute and a noted author. So even though their wives made less money, they had husbands to look up to. They were still famous academics. Right. And so in that case, I do think it works. One of the great analogies that I love so much is my buddy Orion Taraban, who's coming on my show again next month. Orion Taraban talks about in his book, The Value of Others, men can only be captains. When you talk about men and women can be the captain or the passenger. Men cannot be passengers. They can only be the captain. Society does not accept men as passengers yet. Maybe they will in the future, but it is unrealistic to believe that that's the case now. And the reason why is not because men are putting this pressure on other men. When you ask, again, 80% of divorces are initiated by women, and we have a 56% divorce rate in this country. And one of the top 3 reasons why women claim that they're filing for divorce is because the man makes less money, he's unemployed or underemployed, or he makes less money than she does. So if you see that as the case, what does that tell you? The idea of man being the passenger is not accepted by women. And this is one of the biggest double standards I've seen, Jedediah.
It's a turnoff.
Well, it's not just that. It's the idea that these gender norms, like me being more aggressive, more assertive, and more dominant, and me trying to make more money, is a function of patriarchy, and men are the ones creating these gender roles. It's not men doing this. We're only doing this for women. That's the reason why we've been doing this since the beginning of time. Gender roles.
It's a turnoff because it's limiting, right?
Yeah.
You as a woman, you can't then just decide you don't want to work. You can't make decisions the way that you would if the guy were carrying the load, right? And it's a nice idea to say, oh yeah, I want to work, I want to have my own money. You know, that you're inculcated to believe that that's the way, the truth, and the life as a woman. But it limits your options because then it's really on you to make sure that ship doesn't sink. Now, it's interesting you gave examples where those men, even though they were making less money in certain moments in their marriage, they were still in a position of prestige, right?
Yes.
So they're still being looked at as this prestigious job. I will tell you also, I think it can work, and this happened to me. I met my husband. I was working at Fox News. I wasn't making great money. People think all these contributors make great money. You don't. But I wasn't making great money. And then all of a sudden, overnight, I got this job at The View, which I really didn't want, to be completely honest with you. And my salary skyrocketed like 4 or 5 times overnight, right? So there was a window there where I suddenly was making all this money. However, he was making enough money where if I woke up one day and said, I cannot stand Joy Behar's bullshit for one more second, it would have been fine. He would have just been like able to carry that easily.
Sure.
We weren't reliant on my salary. We weren't,
Yes.
It was fun. It happened for a minute. And then I got fired because Hillary Clinton had, menstrual cramps or something that day. But regardless, you can't when you have to rely on the woman and that becomes the breadwinner, and the guy is kind of deflated and he's not having some prestigious professor job or he's just like playing with the kids. It does many things to a woman's mindset. Suddenly she feels the stress of, oh my God, this is all on me. And it also does something hormonally. We covered a clip where we were talking about what it does to testosterone. And it really shrinks men's testosterone to be, home playing with the kids all day long.
Yeah.
And it grows women's testosterone to be out doing the career climb. So then the sexual dynamics of the home and it doesn't work anymore. So the reason I say it doesn't work is because when I see those situations, by and large, with maybe an exception here and here, when those guys still have a lot of prestigious roles or whatever, I'm saying by and large, when the woman is a provider, I see like a sexless marriage. I see super stressed out women. I see guys that get increasingly feminized. It's a mess. And maybe, just maybe, nature had it right. And men are supposed to act like men, and women are supposed to act like women. And, women try and be men. It's just, it's not working out the way that, Gloria Steinem told us it would.
Yes. If you listen to Gloria Steinem's advice, your woman will leave you. Again, you can keep talking about how unfair this is and how society should just accept men staying at home and taking care of the kids while the woman provides. That would be great, but every time it is put into practice, almost every time it is put into practice, women will then leave those men. You can't, again, this is what the point I was trying to make before. When we talk about gender norms in society, one of the things that happens is it's usually liberals and feminists who are saying that it is males and patriarchy specifically that is enforcing these gender roles on society. No, it's not. It is gender roles are almost entirely perpetrated by females, because if it wasn't that case, these are the things that women reward men for. When you survey them, they say they want men who are more aggressive, more assertive, more dominant, make more money, taller, faster, stronger than they themselves. Women are surveyed and said they want men who make about 1.6, meaning 60% more in income than they make. So you keep saying these things that women want these better things, then that's essentially what's going to happen. Men who provide those things, the upper body strength, and are able to provide, what Rollo says, have a baby in one arm while slitting throats with the other one. That whole paradigm, if women keep rewarding those men with sex, then that is how society is going to look. But you can't blame men for that. We do these things in large part, build these buildings, all these things. When you go back, let's be specific, even relativity, quantum mechanics. You go back to all these like inventions, the iPhone, whatever, you can find a man trying to impress a woman in almost every one of these cases where men were motivated to do that. So these gender roles that we're referring to before.
Mike.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that women are jealous of men? Do you think that there is, I did Andrew Wilson's show recently and we got into this a little bit. People can go, he's behind a paywall, so if people want to go see that, you got to look it up. But do you think there's a jealousy that men are stronger? You're just the stronger sex physically, right? If a war starts tomorrow, I'm going to be hiding behind my man, and so will every other woman in every other house everywhere. If somebody breaks into a home, you're going to be hiding behind your man. Like, it just is a reality.
Yeah.
Men have more, they have testosterone. Their hormones are more stable throughout the month, and they have more testosterone. So their drive and their ambition, and it's just different. And they're just stronger. My husband's doing like a 3-day water fast, no water fast right now. I die after 12 hours. I'm like, oh my God, is there watermelon anywhere? You know, it's just different.
Yeah.
So is there some resentment, and are these women jealous that, in other words, they don't just want a man who's strong and masculine. They want to be him. Is that happening now? A few months ago, a friend of mine's credit card got stolen. It was a total nightmare, wreaked havoc on their whole family. Financial security was threatened, everything. And I said, why didn't you get Aura? She should have. She has it now. Identity theft, by the way, is happening every 14 seconds in America. That's an astounding stat. On this show, I want to protect you from identity theft. I want to protect your privacy. I want to protect your financial security. I'm excited to share this partnership. I told you I'd never promote something on the show that I don't use. I use Aura for my family. My parents now use it. My extended family at large, my friends, everyone. Aura is identity theft protection, fraud monitoring, a VPN, password management, and antivirus software, and it's all in one app. And I'm not terribly tech savvy, as you know. If I can do it, you can do it. It's super duper user friendly. Aura monitors the dark web for your emails, your passwords, and social security numbers, and sends alerts right to your phone or your email if something is going down that's shady. So if someone opens a credit card in your name, for example, Aura sends you a real-time alert. The VPN also lets you stay anonymous online by keeping your browsing history, very important, and personal info safe and encrypted. You all know I talk a lot about the system, about the death of privacy. This is a way to protect that privacy. Check this out. Aura found my passwords on the dark web 40 times. 40 times. That's scary stuff. If you're curious how many times your passwords are on the dark web, and you should be, right? You got passwords in your bank accounts, all sorts of stuff you don't want people coming in and finding out. If you're curious, I want you today to go to aura.com/Jedediah. Also link below in the show description. And if you sign up right now with my link, Aura is going to give you a 2-week free trial. 2 weeks to see how many times your passwords are on the dark web. You can't lose. There's nothing to lose. And if you sign up, let me know in the comments. I want to know how many times your passwords were found. Come on, we got to know this stuff. I hope you'll take advantage of this amazing offer. The system may be out to get you. I am here to protect your privacy, your security, and all that. Aura.com/Jedediah. You have absolutely nothing to lose. Go find out if your passwords have been compromised.
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously, I definitely think there's part of that. But when the jealousy comes, it's actually, when you talk to some evolutionary psychologists, so one of the biggest differences between men and women has to do with like the desire for a variety of sexual partners. Men, an average man would put him in the top 1% of women. And then you hear women be like, well, I want a bunch of sexual partners too. And they're like, why? Why is it? It's like, because it is true. It's a biological double standard. Men are not judged as harshly. Again, if I had a female squadron commander when I was in the Air Force and a male squadron commander, and my female squad commander slept with a bunch of dudes, she's going to get judged more harshly than a man is. It's just true. And so a lot of women are like jealous of that fact, or jealous of the fact that men are big and strong. And so you'll see them in the gym, like trying to get ripped and trying to be independent, all these different things. Is there a function of jealousy? Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, it is fun being a man. I don't have any problem with that. I very much enjoy being a man. But the thing is, there's things that women get and there's things that women do that are incredible benefits to society. And sometimes those things get lost because it feels like they have a different role, or their role is subservient. I don't think it's a role that's subservient. They're beautiful things. Like, again, there is no greater job on earth than a caregiver to children. I personally don't think
Agreed.
so. Like, literally, there's nothing more important than that. I'm saying, as somebody who doesn't have kids yet, I truly believe that is the case. And so that part kind of gets lost, and it's like, no, girl, you need to be the CEO and do all these other things. And it's like, you can do that, but then you're going to find that higher status men aren't going to want to settle down with you. They'll have sex with you, for sure. They'll have sex with you, but they won't settle down with you. And what will happen is in your mind, you're thinking because you're having sex with these men, that these men would commit to you. And of course they won't commit. And so that's where the disjointedness happens.
Is that in your view because of the boss babe energy being just like super masculine
It's part
and
of it, yeah.
attractive? Or is it because of the choices that they make whereby they're not going to be someone who's going to want to stay at home and raise kids and they're going to want to do the career climb? Is it more, which one is it? Is it the energy itself, or is it the decision making that would come from marrying a woman like that?
How about this? I want a relationship where I can come home and then on a regular basis have sex with my wife. And if it's one of these things where she's working 60 hours, it's like these guys are like, no, these men are intimidated by working women. No, they're not. We're intimidated, but we just don't like masculine women. That's the problem. And so in this situation is like, I want to come home and I want to have sex with my wife on a regular basis. That means if you're too tired from working 80 hours a week, that's not conducive to a relationship. That doesn't make me insecure. That's just not something that I want in a relationship. So I think there's that part. And then the other issue is this. There's been this massive evolutionary mismatch where women are having sex with certain men and they think that they could get those men to commit. And I use this example all the time. When Patrick Mahomes got 10 years, $50 million from the Kansas City Chiefs, he was 22 years old when he signed that contract. When Aaron Rodgers signed with the Jets, he got 1 year. He got a 1 year contract. The football team wanted to commit to this young person who was easier for them to deal with and didn't want to commit to, Aaron Rodgers, who believes that, he can eat clay or whatever. That's the difference. And so because of that, you'll see these women will be in the situations where they're dating. They had sex with a center fielder or a power forward, or it's just the hot guy that they met at the gym or whatever. And they actually believe that they can get these men to commit. And so what happens is they end up in this situation where their husband, who is willing to commit, looks like a worse choice than the jiu-jitsu instructor that we talked about earlier, who's hot and fit. Yes, who's hot and fit. She starts believing that. But no, really, she could have sex with him. That's kind of the big difference between being a man and being a woman. There's women that I like that are famous that I would love to message, and they are just going to ignore me. Whereas an average woman can message a really, really high status dude, and he will still have sex with her. And so that's a massive difference in the way they see the world.
I remember this guy, we were friends or whatever, and then like he wanted to like hook up.
Friends or whatever.
We were friends. We were friends from high school. We genuinely had always been friends, and then he wanted to like hook up, and then I didn't want to. And then after that night that he wanted to and I didn't want to, he ghosted me. Like, he was not my friend anymore.
Well, he was never your friend.
I know, but
see, and this is why it goes back to guys and girls cannot be friends.
I genuinely thought we were good friends.
It's because you're innocent and like you obviously haven't been through enough life to understand that that's not true. Guys always want something from the girl. Always.
They always want things. And so do girls. I think it's just opportunity waiting. They're just waiting for some opportunity, which is exactly what you described. Because then he did it and it didn't work and he's like, all right, peace. Gone.
Okay, that's good. So this is a topic that comes up all the time, and women will say, no, my guy friend is different. He's different. We've been friends forever. And I'm curious, though, how long do you think a guy will just sit in queue, right? He'll be friends with a girl
forever.
And wait how long to see if maybe, and then like forever, you're saying? I mean, decades?
Again, OnlyFans it would not exist if men were not comfortable with being put in the friend zone. $6.6 billion is what OnlyFans did in revenue last year. That is more than all of the salaries for all 30 NBA teams. That is madness how much money these men are making, and these women are making, because these men are willing to subjugate themselves to these spaces. Here's the ultimate difference. And what Bradley said in that clip, he's correct. It's like, that guy was never your friend. Here's the difference. Jedediah, you and I are legitimately friends. And the reason why is because we're not trying to date each other. You can be friends with women. And it's funny because the people who told me this, you can't be friends with women, where it's Myron or Rollo, I can show you women that they're actually friends with. There is. The problem is this. When a woman puts you in the friend zone, so I shoot my shot, you're not interested in me, and then you demote me to the friend zone, that's where the problem is. Here's how you get out of that problem as a man. You put women in the friend zone. Off the rip. I put every single girl I know in the friend zone, and then we can just figure it out afterwards. And that actually does work. But I do think that if you're a man who is in like, a sexual deficit, like you're very desperate, it's very hard for those men to be friends with women. But for the most part,
What about
like
if you're in a relationship? What about if you're in a relationship with, say you're, I don't know, you don't have to be married, but you're in a serious relationship with a girl. What about her male friends that she had before? Does that have to like see you later, or is there a screening process?
Yeah. So I'm a little different from some of these manosphere content creators. I'm fine if we're with him together. If we go out with him together, and there's a legitimate friendship. Huh?
What if the interactions, Mike, behind the scenes, the texts and all that? Maybe you're not in all those chains, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean that. Listen. Any of us that gets into any relationship, we all put ourselves at risk of our husbands or wives doing whatever behind our backs. In reality, what I would do in that situation would be like, hey, does she need validation from him without me around? And the other thing is, I'll tell you this, Jedediah, I have a ton of female friends. I know I'm noted for this. I get criticized this for all the time.
But you're not in a relationship.
Okay, I'm not in a relationship. But even when I was in a relationship, my girlfriend's friends, I would be legitimately friends with them. I would help them with their businesses, all kinds of stuff. I have no problem being friends with women. I'm used to being friends with women. You're correct. But the reason why I'm used to being friends with women, why I can be friends with women, is because I'm not in a sexual deficit. My girlfriend and I were having sex on a regular basis. If you have a man who's done a 15-month deployment in Iraq and he comes back, it's very difficult for him to be friends with women. He's gonna it's kind of like he's doing what you said before. He's just waiting for his opportunity to get with a girl. But
Mike, that sexual deficit, let me just flip it for a second. That for guys, I hear what you're saying about if he's having sex regularly, he's attracted to his woman, he's satisfied physically, all that,
or he's not attracted to her, he's not attracted to the other girl,
to the friend.
Yes.
Right. Okay, the level of attraction. But what I'm saying about the women that's a little bit different is that it's not just physical. So I think why it gets a little bit tricky when you look at the female side of her having the male friend, sometimes that becomes about a different type of attention or affection that's emotional. There's an emotional layer in there that has more weight, that even if she's getting regular sex with her man and she's attracted to him, someone over here is like, plays the guitar and maybe wrote a little song that kind of sounds like, there's a different type of vulnerability that's not just about physicality when it comes to women and their potential male single friends that, maybe you hang out with together, but it's not a friend you made together. It was her friend first. It just looks, it doesn't always work out is all I'm going to say.
I have dated a lot of girls who are influencers or models, and I just assume every single guy in their life wants to hook up with them. And I just okay, cool. Just as long as you don't hook up with them, I don't really give a shit. But and if you want to go hang out with them without me, then I know that this relationship is probably over. That's kind of the rules. Because the thing is,
I think that's a good rule.
I'm not going to have a police state. I'm not going to sit there and just police everything they do. I know Brad Lee talks about this. He's like, him and his wife go through each other's phones anytime they want. And in my relationships, I don't care if my girl goes through my phone. I have a rule, though. If you're going to go through my phone, we're going to do it together, and you're not going to take anything out of context. The bad part is, and I know this is a side note, but you're texting and she's looking over your shoulder. That's when the fights start, because I'm writing my editor in Romania, and she thinks I'm flirting with some girl. It's like, no, you need to, we can go through my phone, but we're going to go through it together. We're going to sit together and we're going to go line by line so that you can see what it is that I'm doing. That's the problem when there's no context involved. But I mean, as far as this whole thing is concerned, could things be going on behind your back? If that's the case, then just don't get in any relationship. But the idea is she can have no male friends. She can have male friends. We're all going to go to dinner together, and then we'll see what's going on there.
I know it's very difficult. Good rule. I think that's a good rule. And I've said that myself on the show. I just think it gets a little bit tricky with, the WhatsApp and the social media.
Of course.
I just think it gets, if you're someone who wants to micromanage that situation, it's a little harder to micromanage it in this day and age than it was, say, 15 years ago, when it was, it was a little simpler. You're interesting to me, though, because you say you have female friends, and a lot of guys that are in this space will say, I don't have female friends unless I'm trying to bang them, right? I don't, why would I be friends with a woman?
And they think it's cool. They think it's better,
What are you drawn to in a female friendship? If it's someone that you don't want to sleep with, let's say you've already sized that situation up and you're like, no, I'm good. Either she's a hot mess or, whatever, or not, you're tight. What are you getting from a woman in a female friendship?
Well, I've become I find I'm not attracted to the majority of women. There's only 1% of women I find attractive, and then maybe that's from me living in Las Vegas and having unrealistic standards on what women look like. But if I don't find a woman attractive,
type?
huh?
Is it Barbie doll type?
It's the volleyball player with a boob job. That's kind of like my type.
Man, you're so Vegas. You got to go back to Texas.
I know. Well, no. To be fair, that's a looking pretty prominent in Texas too. But like, just when I go back, like there's a majority of women I'm not attracted to, and so because of that, it's very easy for me to put those women in the friend zone. But here's the real reason. Guys, there is literally no single thing that you can do. If you've ever seen these guys who are punching so above their weight class, they're not using money to get a girl, but they're getting a girl who's way more attractive than them. It's almost always because a woman introduced the two of them. Women introduced me to other women. There were 4 girls I was friends with at Swimsuit USA who introduced me to my then girlfriend. They were like, hey, that girl you think is hot is at this bar. They were there talking me up the entire time, being wingmen. I got there, and then it was just easy peasy afterwards. Almost every girl that I've dated has been another woman who introduced me. So the 3 reasons why why I recommend guys be friends with women is, number 1, it gives you access. There's a reason why I used to go to the Playboy Mansion for free. There's a reason why I used to go to all the Maxim parties for free. I would show up with a bunch of women. That's number 1. Number 2, it calibrates you. So if I were to take a guy right now that I'm coaching and put him in front of his dream girl, he'd be like, blah, blah, blah. He wouldn't know what to say. He wouldn't know how to close the deal. He would have no idea how to get her on a date. He would have no confidence. But if he's used to being around women that are attractive on a regular basis and his adrenaline doesn't spike, he gets used to it. It's immersion therapy. Then he's actually more comfortable when I put him in front of his dream girl. And then number 3, this is the most important one. Beautiful women introduce me to beautiful women. It's the reason why, like, on my birthday, it's always me and 50 girls. It's because there's girls there, and they introduce me to more girls. I've seen the photos, Mike. Yes. Yeah, they introduce me to more girls. It's a cheat. It's an absolute cheat code, which is also, to your previous point, Jedediah, why it's dangerous when your girlfriend has guy friends. Because I'm not telling you this because I'm a guy who had a girlfriend who had guy friends and she cheated. I'm telling you this because I'm the guy friend who girls all of a sudden start getting a crush on. When you're the guy, like, I want you to consider, she has a relationship, and with her boyfriend, they see each other every day. She sees his ripped underwear, his skid marks. He leaves the toilet seat up. They still have sex. Like, there's good parts, but there's also bad parts. But then there's the buddy, the friend that she's friends with, and all she sees is him making other women laugh. All she sees is him going on trips, having a great time, and every time they hang out, he's like dapping her up. He's cool. He doesn't hit on her. She feels completely safe and comfortable around him. So
Listen,
it's
Mike,
all the good with none of the bad.
I hear you. That is a very tricky game to play.
Yes.
I will tell you, because it's very easy. You have to be in a real position of power in that situation. You have to somehow be able to read as someone who isn't pathetic or sitting around. She has to sense that you're not just waiting around for her. She has to feel like you're not, sort of idolizing her secretly. There's a big power dynamic that has to be played very effectively if you're going to be in that position and actually.
And what if he's dating a hot girl? What if he's dating a hot girl, Jedediah, and he's all about her like that? I've seen this happen before.
It could work, but it's very tricky.
There's this incredible study where they show this man and they ask for like these women, survey him how attractive he is, and about 58% of the women say he's attractive. Then they show the same man with a wedding ring on to say different group, different experiment. His attractiveness level goes from 58% to 91%. Women want men who are taken, and women want men who other women find attractive. The concept is called mate choice copying in humans, and it's a function of evolutionary psychology. And it's just so crazy whenever I see this, which is why I'm gonna caveat this. I am aware that I'm part of the problem. I'm the guy friend that most of my guy friends don't want me friends with their girlfriends. It's not because I hit on them. I never hit on them. It's because they're constantly going to see me making other attractive women laugh, going out with large groups of attractive women. And then this is the thing that happens. Women find those men attractive whenever those men are surrounded by beautiful women. Mm-hmm. So I can't give I cannot more strongly advise men who are single to have as many female friends as possible, put as many women in the friend zone as possible, because they're going to introduce you to more women. And I cannot also advise men who are in relationships, don't let your girls have friends like that, like me. Just don't do it. Like, it's because it's a problem. Don't let her go to the jiu-jitsu school.
Guys who are listening should pay attention to the way he worded it, though. He didn't say put yourself in the friend zone. He said put them in the friend zone.
There's nothing worse than putting
distinction.
Yes,
very important distinction.
But it's not just a small distinction. It is 180 degrees different. If I put a woman in the friend zone, she's confused. She's like, I don't understand. How am I not getting the validation from
Why
this
isn't
man?
he trying to hook up with me?
Why isn't he looking at my boobs? I pushed my boobs so hard together and pushed them. Why? He's the only man who hasn't looked at my boobs. He calls me bro. He fist bumps me
push
whenever
them
I see
together
him.
more.
Yeah, let me push them together more. And then he turns around and this gorgeous girl comes and hugs him and he's not paying attention to me. And then all of a sudden her brain goes crazy and then she finds herself attracted to one of her guy friends because he put her in the friend zone. But if she puts him in the friend zone, not only is she never going to hook up with him, she tells her friends that she put him in the friend zone. And now
Mike,
none
I will
of
just
her
say,
friends will
though,
hook up with him too.
Listen, I will just say not every guy is, going to the Maxim parties and at that. What's that other thing that you and Rollo do that all dressed in
we
white
do Babes
all
in
the
Toyland.
time?
Shout out to Babes in Toyland, May 17th.
I got invited. You guys invited me when I was, you don't know anything about me, but I literally, I'm so not that. But it's so funny. I got invited when I was in come to Babes in Toyland.
Yeah, come to Babes in Toyland.
I was like, y'all, you know that I've got all the blue light in my house turned off by 8 p.m. I've eaten dinner and I'm sitting with my son reading a book, right? That's what's happening in my house. Are you kidding me? But I see the photos. And I did see Rollo's wife at one of them. She's adorable.
Use it. I find it interesting
We
how
don't use it?
y'all don't enjoy it though. It's
so we don't use our rights?
Y'all don't use it. It's not like you guys want to do a lot of these things. You guys fight for rights that you don't even use a lot of the times.
Like what?
Like what? Oh, well, women want equality, right? All the time. Oh, we want to be able to do everything that men can do. But why is it that all the hard manual labor jobs are dominated by men? Why is it that men control all the infrastructure points, right? Why is it that men are the garbage collectors, men are the electricians, men are the power linesmen, men are the plumbers, men are the ones that literally keep society going so that you can enjoy the first world conveniences you do, right? So you can go ahead and have your bullshit psychology degree or whatever it is that you're studying. So the reality is that men make the world go round, and we civilized it to the point where you guys forgot that men really run shit, and we give you the opportunities that you have. So for you to sit there and be able to say something as ridiculous as, can you even beat me up, and you're questioning it, that goes to show how naive you are about the propensity of men to actually conduct violence.
Okay, let's stop it there. There was a lot of interesting points. Actually, I really want to get Myron. I don't know anyone who knows him, really.
Myron? I'll call him right now. I'll text him right after this.
I really want to focus on his campus tour because I think it's fascinating. I don't want to focus on his show because I've covered that before, and I really think that Myron just doing the campus tour is so important. As somebody who taught for years and taught college, and it's really needed. Someone needs to go there and just shine a truth light on this crap. Yeah. But I think it's two points are really interesting to me, and I'll get your reaction. But the first one is just talking about, and I touched on this with Andrew Wilson on his show. He's going to be coming on the show next week. But we had a conversation about how civilized men really are. Because if you really wanted, if as a society, if men really wanted to take women's rights away, it would actually be quite easy to do that.
Yeah.
If the goal was to entrap women, if the goal was to be violent and savage, if the goal was to strip women of all of their rights, it would be actually really easy to do that. And because that's not happening, it actually shows how much men actually, do care about women and aren't trying to be violent and aren't trying to, dismantle your entire whatever. It's just an interesting note of what men could do versus what they actually do. And just showing how gentle they can be with women. Yeah. They don't have to be, but they are. That's number one. I'll let you respond to that one first.
Yeah, so there's the great clip. You guys should check it out. It's Mia Khalifa saying that joining the military is worse than doing porn because you gave your body to the government. That's what she said. And people asked me to respond to that because I was in the military. And my response was, we live in a society where incredibly violent men have chiseled out a cubbyhole of safety where she can say stupid stuff like that, and she is fully unaware of the fact that she lives in that society. That's exactly what he said before. Is like, could you beat me up? I'm sorry, ladies, I don't mean to be mean about this. Most 14-year-old boys could beat most of you up, and it's just a function because boys have
my son. Can I say this? I have a 5-year-old. Now, my son is a little different because he eats organ meat and 4 eggs for breakfast with a big cup of raw milk. So, but there are days where I tell my husband, I'm like, Jeremy, I by 10, I'm done. Like, he's
Yeah.
going to be able to tug a warmie right to the floor. Like,
Yeah.
and I know it. And I'm actually
Yeah.
really happy because I'm like building this strong man, you know?
Yeah.
But yes, I will say that I don't even, 14 is like stretching it, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. But like the thing is, we forget that society. Again, we have a discussion about, you know, men and women's sports, whatever discussion you want to have. Understand that is a first world problem that we only have because other countries are not invading the United States and taking your rights away by force. And why are they not doing that? Because those violent men who might come from Russia or China are just a little less violent than the motherfuckers from Arkansas and Texas. We're more violent than they are, and they're not taking our rights away. That's essentially what's going on. In this country, like, it was men who were willing to sacrifice and die in order to make the country, to allow you the freedoms that you have for liberalized Western democracies. And I mean all of them, Australia, Britain, Canada, whatever, where all of those things happened because men were willing to die, willing to protect their tribe in order for that to happen. Those freedoms
Let me
then
ask you a question, Mike.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question because I want to get to it before we have to wrap. What do you think, and Myron brought this up too, he talks about, you know, he says to her, like, you're not using, like, your rights. And she's like, what do you mean I'm not using my rights? I vote, whatever. And, you know, the carpentry, the building roads and bridges, the plumbers, all of these jobs that are really challenging, difficult, hands-on, right? It's not fun. You see these guys out in the middle of, like, 100-degree heat paving your roads. Women don't want these jobs. And I know there'll be some audience member who's like, well, I have a sister. Yeah, okay, your sister's like one in a zillion, so don't use her as an example. But, you know, women don't want those jobs. So when they talk about, what do they actually want when they talk about equality? Because they also don't want the equality of paying the bill. And they also don't want the equality of having to be the one to deal with a burglar when he breaks in. And they don't want any of these challenging jobs. So what do they want? What is it that they're after?
They want authority without responsibility. That's basically what it is. So again, I'm the CEO of my company. I have the authority to hire and fire people, to change people's wages, and to make decisions as far as our content. But I also have the responsibility. If things go wrong, it's my fault. What women want in this situation is they want the authority to be able to tell men what to do and how they should act and how they should be chivalrous, but they don't want the responsibility of then creating a peaceful home for that man to come home to. So that's essentially what's happening. I talk about this all the time. Henry VIII is a great example. He had all the authority and no responsibility. Those, you see that with monarchs, despots, people like that. They have all this authority and they have no responsibility. So that's essentially what they're asking for in this situation. But yeah, I mean, it's one of the wildest things when you hear people have these discussions and they just forget. I don't mind if you want to have a discussion. I don't mind if men piss you off. I don't mind if you don't like men at all. Whatever you want to do, just recognize that you're having these discussions because men were willing to die for your freedoms. As long as you remember that, as long as dad gets the big piece of chicken at Thanksgiving, as long as you remember that, then that's fine. Just believe whatever you want. You can, I'm a libertarian.
And
do whatever you
interestingly, like, I don't even know if they want the authority when shit really hits the fan. You know, like, I see a lot of
well, but that's a responsibility. What you're talking about is another responsibility. And let me say one more thing. Let me say one more thing, Jedediah. The Department of Labor came out with statistics on actual male versus female plumbers, roofers working in construction, and the numbers are crazier than you think. It's like 1% of plumbers are women. If men checked out of society, I'm talking the entire infrastructure of the planet would just go to crap, literally within a matter of days. Women got into nursing, but men did not get in. I'm sorry. When women got into law, accounting, all these other masculine dominated fields, men did not subsequently then get into nursing. And so what's happened is women are not getting to plumbing. Women are not getting into electricians. No. Roofers in the South make a ton of money and women still don't want that job. And so that's the reason why, like, you're seeing.
It's hard.
It's a very hard job.
They don't want it. It's very interesting. Okay. So we're out of time for today. I want to first of all, I want to give you a chance to plug your show.
Sure.
Access Vegas, which, remember, again, y'all should check out. I think it's at your YouTube link, though, right? It's at
you just go to Michael Sartain.
Where they should go. Tell us what people can expect to see. I'll tell you, there's a lot of booby jobs and stuff going on there if people are into that. But, you know, it's also really good. What's different about your show, and I've covered, again, called Access Vegas. I used to on a different channel. This is my brand new baby, and we're like spicing it. This thing's gonna fly. But covered whatever podcast a lot. Yours is a little bit different. It feels
Yeah.
like a real conversation with you and lots of different kinds of ladies. I know they're in Vegas, so there's a stereotypical look sometimes that comes with it.
Yeah.
But what is your goal, and where can people find your show?
Yeah, so the reason why is I'm the one who books all the girls. I don't have a booker. I do this all on my own, and most of these girls are friends of mine. Like they've been friends of mine for a long time. There's a few girls that have been on the show that I've dated, and we just don't tell anybody on the show at all. And so the reason why is so when I have these conversations, one of the things that happens, one of the advantages is when they say something that's objectively not true, I'll call them out on it. I was like, I had one girl say, I'm a sapiosexual. I like smart people. And I was like, your last two boyfriends were a porn star and a male stripper. You're not a sapiosexual. And she's like, okay, you got me. You're right. Like, it's one of these things where I know the women. I know them. So when you watch Myron or Brian, when they go after these girls, they're just kind of guessing. I'm not guessing. I know when they're lying, and I'll point it out to them. So that's one of the.
So what's the purpose?
reasons.
Why? What is the goal of your show? What do you want people to leave getting out of it?
So a couple of things. Understand that there are ingrained innate sex differences between men and women, and that's okay. There are certain double standards, and that's okay. Understanding there are concepts in evolutionary psychology that can really help you when it comes to intersexual dynamics and understanding the opposite sex. And here's one last thing. I like to let my clients watch me make women laugh on a regular basis, because these other shows are about protecting you from women taking advantage of you. My show is about how to generate attraction with women. That's what I try to teach a lot of my clients. A lot of times my clients are very awkward. They don't know how to speak to women. I was like, watch me lead this group of 12 women on the show. Watch how I can consistently make them laugh at these different points. Watch how I lead them through this by listening, by creating very interesting conversations. These are techniques that I teach you in my Men of Action program that I coach as well.
Men of Action. How do people sign up for that if they want to do it?
It's moamentoring.com. Again, if you cannot replace your social circle, your dating life, and you can't replace your friend group in 15 minutes, you don't have enough abundance. I'm here to teach you to have that abundance. I'm here to teach you that to be the person that every single guy meets their girlfriend through. One of your guy friends meets their girlfriend through. All your friends get their jobs through, find their employees through. You're the person that they get their book recommendations through. I am a social circle coach, and what I teach guys is by using their networking ability, communication, leadership ability, they level up as far as their social status is concerned in sexual selection, and it's been proven by science. So everything we do in our courses is based in science. So that's why it's done really well, and we just crossed 4,000 members in the course.
Oh, very nice. That is very good to hear. So, audience, you can check that out. And I think I'm working with, Rollo had mentioned about the possibility of me. I don't come to Vegas a lot, and I don't travel a lot.
We'd be
honestly,
so
in
excited
general.
if you came. And the show starts at 8
know.
p.m. So you're staying
He
out all
wants me
night
to
with us.
come to Vegas and hang out and talk to the girls. I don't know how that's going to go, Mike. I'm not as polite as you, but maybe I can join. I said to him, why don't you let me join remotely first, and I'll feel it out, and we'll see how it goes. So I think that's on the table. I think that's on the table, and I will stay up extra late for the two of you, and you're like 8 p.m. I'm like, that's late. Listen. That's late. The blue light is, listen, if I'm going to get blue light at the end of the day, it better be worth it. All right, y'all. Audience, Mike Sartain, there he is. Don't forget to hit that like button and hit that subscribe. It helps me do what I do. And I just want to say thank you to the audience. You guys have been amazing. This is like month one, and we're flying. So I love you all. Mike, thank you, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Take care.